The Gaza government press office reported that following the intensification of the bombardment by the Israeli occupation forces in Palestine, the death toll has risen to 11,100. In Spain, the Popular Party summoned millions of citizens to its rallies to protest against the amnesty law and the government of Pedro Sánchez. And in India, about 40 workers were trapped underground after the road tunnel they were building in the state of Uttarakhand collapsed. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Gaza government press office reported that following the intensification of the bombardment by Israeli occupation forces in Palestine, the death toll has risen to 11,100. According to the statistics provided by the Ministry of Health, they state that among the martyrs, more than 8,000 are children and women. On the other hand, they informed that the number of wounded has risen to more than 28,000, which puts at greater risk the collapse of hospitals and healthcare centers due to the lack of supplies. Likewise, a spokesman for the Gaza Ministry of Health said that all hospitals in northern Gaza are not providing services, with the exception of the Baptist Hospital, which has limited care and services. Brutal attacks by Zionist forces on Al-Shifa from Gaza authorities to declare its closure on Sunday. A spokesman for the Ministry of Health assures that the lack of electricity and the relentless siege of the occupying forces make it impossible to carry out the mission of the center. In the last hours, another newborn baby died and an adult who was in intensive care unit due to the power cuts. Inside the hospital, 100 corpses are decomposing because Israel posted snipers who prevented the opening of a mass grave. Without electricity, without water, with the staff exhausted and under fire, the authorities closed the hospital, which was also a shelter for thousands of displaced people. Also, as a result of fuel shortage and the consequent power cuts, as well as a severe shortage of medical supplies, food and water, the Al-Quds hospital in the city of Gaza has suspended all its operations on Sunday. The information was announced by the Palestinian Red Crescent Society through a statement in which they highlighted the efforts of the medical staff in Gaza to provide medical care to patients. The statement also blames the international community and all the signatory countries of the Fourth Geneva Convention for a total collapse of the health system and the catastrophic humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip. And at least 13 people were killed and several others wounded after houses and buildings were hit by a strike in East Khan Yunis on Sunday. Footage filmed at the scene show a deep crater as well as widespread destruction and debris. People there were seen trying to search for survivors underneath the rubble. Health officials said thousands of medics, patients, and displaced people were trapped in Shifa Hospital with no electricity and dwindling supplies. On Saturday, Arab leaders and Iran's president meeting in the Saudi capital roundly condemned Israel's crimes in its relentless aggression against the Gaza Strip. The emergency meeting of the Arab League at the Organization of Islamic Cooperation comes after Israel's aerial and ground offensive has killed more than 11,100 Palestinians, mostly civilians and many of them children. The Saudi foreign minister underlined the imperative character of the unity of Arab Islamic countries. In this context, the president of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, accused the United States of hindering the possibility of a solution through dialogue. In Gaza, the Israeli regime escalates its blockade of the Strip, worsening by the hour the humanitarian crisis Palestinians are experiencing. Our correspondent, Noor Harasin, has the details.
The best way to just describe the situation here in Gaza is that everything is worsening. The Israeli troops has tightened its blockade, its siege on the Ashifa hospital, even though that the tanks are not on the front gate of the Ashifa hospital, but the Israeli snipers are now taking over high buildings surrounding the Ashifa hospital. And at the same time, of course, the Israeli warplanes are targeting places around and in the Ashifa hospital. According to the Palestinian medical sources, inside the hospital, 3 premature babies died because of the lack of fuel. Of course, this means that the machines are not operating to save the lives of these premature babies. At the same time, a number of people who are inside the intensive care unit also died due to the lack of fuel and electricity. The system in the Ashifa hospital now has totally collapsed. There is no electricity, no fuel, no food, no water in the hospital, especially that the hospital is now housing thousands of Palestinian families that took shelter inside the hospital. Here I am inside the Shuhada Al-Aqsa hospital, which is located in Middle Gaza and Deir al-Balah, and Palestinians fleeing their homes started to take shelter here in this hospital. However, they are scared. Yes, they do believe that after Israel finish its ground invasion in Gaza and on the hospitals in Gaza, they then will try to enter some places in middle and southern Gaza and also hijack the hospitals, putting the lives of those patients and displaced people in danger. Nur Harazin, TeleSUR, Gaza.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. In Argentina, presidential candidates Sergio Massa and Javier Milei will hold this Sunday the last debate prior to next November 19th runoff election. The candidates will face each other in the auditorium of the Law School of the University of Buenos Aires to discuss their government plans starting at 9 p.m. local time. The debate will be divided into 2 main blocks in which the candidates will discuss 6 main topics, each having 6 minutes to address each topic. The presidential hopeful will address the economy, education, health, production, among others. This debate marks one of the last opportunities for the candidates to add votes before the November 19 ballot. The Venezuela International Book Fair, Filven 2023, continues in its 19th edition with Colombia as the special guest. The event offers more than 600 activities to promote reading and culture of the more than 80 participating countries. The fair has nearly 80 invited writers and publishers. The Colombian pavilion has more than 30 authors in 7 literary genres from different independent publishers in Colombia. In addition, the space dedicated to children's literature is one of the most colorful of the exhibition. In Spain, the Popular Party summoned millions of citizens to its rallies to protest against the amnesty law and the government of Pedro Sánchez. Demonstrations are held all around Spain. Thousands gather in the main squares of the state departments to show their opposition to the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party. The president of the Popular Party, Alberto Núñez Feijóo, led the march in the city of Seville with a crowd that overflowed the streets of the city. In this sense, the PP assured that more than 30,000 people attended the different rallies all over the country.
The first thing to make all of Spain and the world understand is that this is a very unequal battle. The discussion between pro-independence and non-independent supporters is played with marked cards. A lot of tax money from the Generalitat is being used for propaganda, not even at the service of separatism, but at the service of Hispanophobia, of division. There is definitely not a conflict between Catalonia and Spain. The vast majority of Catalans are Spanish, and that is the the way they want to be and feel.
We stay in Barcelona. Citizens expressed their strong rejection to the amnesty.
We have to tell all Spanish people in front of everyone that they are stealing from us what belongs to us, that these fascist, separatist scandalers are taking part of our territory, and a few of them are benefiting against the rest of the people. It's a serious coup d'etat. Here all the people should be taking a stand. Spain is ours. It does not belong to that scandaler who for 7 votes sold his own mother. This hasn't been a normal election, it's been an election of fraud, because neither the Sumar movement nor the PSOE had the amnesty in their electoral program. Rather, they denied it, that it did not comply with the constitution, and now, as Mr. Pedro is interested in the votes of the riffraff, it turns out that it is constitutional.
Thousands of people also took to the streets in Andalusia on Sunday to protest against the country's acting Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez. Protesters accused Sánchez of betraying the country and handing power to a fugitive. The acting Prime Minister, whose government has already granted pardons to several jailed leaders of the Catalan independence movement, says the amnesty will be positive for Spain because it will calm waters inside Catalonia.
I come today because when, let's say that the political parties made the proposal, Pedro Sánchez has never included the amnesty. So that's why we're here. And I had to fight for the welfare and to put an end to what we have in this country. What we have with this Prime Minister, he is unreliable, a liar. He has it all, he is a scoundrel. He should go away, he should go home.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at TeleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. In India, about 40 workers were trapped underground after the road tunnel they were building in the state of Uttarakhand collapsed. According to authorities, the collapse of the underpass between Silkiara and Dandalgaon occurred early Sunday morning during construction work. No fatalities or injuries have been confirmed so far. Rescue services are supplying oxygen through the rubble to the best of their ability as they work to try to get the workers out safely. In Kenya, hundreds of environmental campaigners marched in Nairobi, the capital, demanding drastic curbs on plastic production ahead of a meeting to negotiate a global plastic treaty. As of Monday, representatives from over 170 nations are expected to meet in Nairobi to negotiate what concrete measures should be included in a binding worldwide treaty to end plastic pollution drafted this past September. Demonstrators urged conference participants to focus on cutting the amount of plastic produced. Last year, nations across the world agreed to finalize by 2024 a first UN treaty to address the scourge of plastics, which are found everywhere from mountaintops and the deepest sea trenches to human blood.
The purpose of the event today is to highlight plastics reduction and the need for that in the treaty. There is a lot of talk about end-of-pipeline solutions which we do not need right now. Investing in more of those solutions divert the focus away from what we really need to do, which is mandating ambitious targets on plastics reduction.
We are the people who have the historical knowledge and also the historical depth of controlling plastic pollution. We are the heart of recycling. And I believe that our input, our voices, should set base to this treaty.
In the ever-changing landscape of global agriculture, China and Brazil have come together in a groundbreaking partnership to revolutionize their agricultural sectors. This agreement, first last year, has paved the way for unprecedented cooperation and modernization in both countries' farming practices, with a shared goal of meeting the basic food needs of their populations. This collaboration has already begun to yield promising results. Join us as we dive into the story of this remarkable partnership and the impact it is having on the agricultural landscape of China and Brazil.
A shipment of Chinese agricultural machinery is on its way to Brazil. Equipment such as micro-tractors, brush cutters, seeders and planters will be headed to family-run farms in Ceará, Maranhão, Paraíba and Rio Grande do Norte, including settlements of the landless rural workers movement, also known as the amnesty. This is the result of an agreement signed in 2022 by the Northeast Consortium in Brazil, Baobab, the China Agricultural University, and China's Agricultural Machinery Manufacturers Association. The Brazil-China Agricultural Machinery Demonstration Unit will be installed in the municipality of Apodi, which will be used to test and study the use of the machinery on northeastern soil.
The northeast region of Brazil only has less than 3% mechanization rate. Nationally, this level don't reach 14%, and in the southern region, family farming mechanization levels are close to 50%. So this partnership will enable us to advance in the technology of family farming in the northeast, which represents 50% of the total family farming in Brazil.
There are many similarities between family farming in Brazil and small-scale farming in China. There are also many opportunities for cooperation in the field of agricultural mechanization and agricultural modernization. China's development model for peasants, which uses social services as a strategy to boost communities, as well as China's small and medium-sized agricultural machinery products, have certain adaptability to Brazil. China has many mountainous areas. I have been to Brazil twice, and there are also many mountainous areas in Brazil's farmland. Therefore, I believe we have many opportunities for cooperation, and this cooperation has already started.
A study published last year by the Hunan Agricultural University and Hunan University of Science and Engineering countered the view that agricultural mechanization only generates benefits if it's implemented on a large scale. The researchers showed that the application of machines to small-scale farming has played a fundamental role in China in ensuring food security and eradicating poverty in rural areas. Next to cooperatives and SOEs, peasants represent more than 80% of agricultural production in China and cultivate more than 70% of the country's arable land, according to the latest agricultural census carried out in 2020. On average, each peasant owns less than 1 hectare of land and most own half an hectare. In 1959, as part of the Great Leap Forward development campaign, leader Mao Zedong asserted that the fundamental way out of agriculture lay in mechanization.
As we all know, China carried out a revolution and then an agrarian reform in 1949 and 1950, which eliminated large landlords and distribute all land to peasants. Based on this agrarian structure of small production units, China gradually industrialized its economy by producing machines for this type of peasant. There are 8,000 tractor factories here. In Brazil, we have 4 large tractor factories, all multinational and all directed towards large properties, large machines. Here in China, it is the opposite. All factories with a tractor, harvester, or farming implements are always aimed at small units.
Under these production conditions, with so many small-scale farmers, we can also achieve food security in China. Total cereal production has remained above 650 million tons in the last 8 years, satisfying the basic food needs for the Chinese population. For the development of mechanization, China provides clear legal and political support. This includes operational subsidy policies and subsidies for the purchase of agricultural machinery. Furthermore, there is a solid research base, as well as a well-established industrial system.
Starting in 2004, China began granting subsidies for purchases of agricultural machinery. From that year until 2015, the country allocated 120 billion yuan to subsidize the purchase of more than 35 million machines. During this period, the level of agricultural mechanization in China increased from 33 to 61%. Currently, the figure has reached 73%. After the policy began, the government made adjustments to the system and began to directly subsidize farmers and no longer companies or financial institutions.
If subsidized funds were allocated directly to businesses, there would be the possibility of profit seeking between businesses and government departments. However, by advocating full payment for machinery purchases, subsidized funds are given directly to farmers, allowing them to truly benefit from the national policy.
The 3 shipments of machines are scheduled to arrive in Brazil between November and December. The inauguration of the demonstration unit in Apodi, as well as the start of use of the machinery in other areas, should take place in February next year.
In addition to the importance of mechanization, there is another fundamental component that this partnership will enable. It is an exchange of knowledge and an exchange of knowledge in relation to public policies. China has recently been a reference when it comes to the process of ensuring that public policies reach community. So this approach will enable us to increasingly learn from the Chinese, and the Chinese will also learn from the Brazilian experience with regard to strengthening family farming.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. Before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscasts and contribute to provide an alternative news source of the latest world events. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on our social medias on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.